My name is Michelle. Let me tell you about the most exciting yet craziest night of my life. It was a quiet Saturday, and I laid there staring at the ceiling. My husband, Harry, was away on a business trip for the next 3 months, so I felt very lonely. It had already been 2 weeks since I last saw him. When the sound of my bedroom door opening broke the silence, that snapped me back into reality, realizing that I wasn't alone. I sat up and looked at the figure standing in my doorway. My 18-year-old son, Isaac, stood there gripping the doorframe. He called out to me, and I immediately knew that something was wrong. I asked him what was the matter, and he didn't respond right away. He stood there frozen at first, but eventually, he stepped inside the room. It was like he was afraid of something. "I couldn't get to sleep," he said quietly. I knew something really had to be bothering him anytime he came to my room at 1:30 in the morning. My chest tightened, and I sat at the edge of the bed. "What's the matter?" I asked gently. He paused again before sitting on the edge of the bed with me. He sat with his back curved over and his hands fidgeting in his lap. As I looked at him, he just stared at the floor. "Isaac, you know you can talk to me about anything," I said in a comforting voice. He let out a shaky sigh before saying, "It's hard for me to explain. I haven't been feeling the same lately, and I don't know what to do." His words made me feel uneasy, but I kept a calm voice and asked him, "What do you mean?" He then gave me an intense look that I wasn't ready for. "It's about someone I can't stop thinking about, someone you would never expect." When he said that, I felt relieved. My first thought was that he had a big crush on someone at school and didn't know how to handle it. He had always been shy about expressing his feelings and kept them bottled up inside until it got to be too much. "Okay," I said. "Who is the lucky lady? Someone from school?" He quickly shook his head no. "Then who is she?" I asked. He took a deep breath, looked at me, and said in a trembling voice, "It's you." When the words hit me, I thought I was going to pass out. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't think or speak for a moment. I had to try to make sense of what he just said. "Isaac, what are you saying?" I asked in shock. He got up and started pacing like he was locked in a cage. Then he started rubbing his hand through his hair nervously. "I know it's wrong, but I can't help how I feel," he finally said. "I've tried for the longest time to ignore that feeling, but it didn't work. It's always there." My heart began beating faster, and I just sat there staring at him. As I started to speak, he interrupted. "Don't tell me these feelings aren't real. I've never felt this way about anyone else. It's not just a crush or admiring you. It's something way deeper," he said. "Isaac, what you're feeling isn't love," I said. "Yes, it is," he hollered. "You're the only one who has ever understood me and made me feel self-worth. If that's not love, then I don't know what it is." I tried to process his words. He was pouring out feelings that I couldn't understand. Even though I couldn't reciprocate his feelings right then, something in me felt excited. Maybe I just didn't know it yet, and I tried to ignore it. Then I ended up saying, "You're just confused and going through a lot of emotions right now." "I'm not confused at all. I've never been more sure of anything," he said as he turned and faced me. His eyes were filled with unshed tears, and he clenched his jaw to keep from crying. At that moment, I could feel how attracted he was to me, and I didn't want to turn away. But as a mom should, I took responsibility and decided to ignore it. "These feelings will pass," I told him gently. He asked me what if they didn't pass, and what if this is how he was supposed to feel. For a moment, I couldn't speak. Then I told him that we would figure it out and get through it together. I stared at me for an extended period of time. "I just don't want to lose you," he whispered. "You won't," I said, squeezing his hand. "No matter what, I'll always be here for you." Then I asked him, "Why don't you sleep here with me tonight? Maybe that will make you feel better." He nodded, and we both pulled the covers over us. I laid there with my arms around him. I then felt something, but didn't bother to mention it to him. Instead, I just said goodnight to him. He smiled at me, and we both lay there in the silence together. Deep down, I knew there would be another night like this. It would just end differently. That night, nothing happened. But there was more coming. I could feel it. The morning after Isaac's confession didn't feel real. I started doing chores, hoping they would be a distraction for me, but my hands trembled as I worked and my mind raced with questions I couldn't answer. The sound of a chair in the kitchen brought me back to reality. Isaac sat at the table staring into a bowl of cereal. His hair was unbrushed and he had exhaustion in his eyes. I could tell he hadn't gotten any sleep, and neither had I. I broke the silence by saying good morning to him. He looked up and mumbled good morning back to me. I poured myself a cup of coffee and sat down across from him. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The air was thick with tension. I was the first between the two of us to speak. About last night, I began, but he interrupted by saying, "I meant what I said, and that's just how it is." I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, trying to keep my cool. "Even though you're being honest with me, this is not something we can act on," I said. He shifted in his chair, visibly upset. "Why not?" he asked in a frustrated tone. I searched for the right words. "Because it's about what is the right thing to do for the people involved, and this could hurt the both of us," I said calmly. He clenched his jaw while looking away. "I don't want to hurt you," he said quietly. "I know you don't," I replied as I reached across the table and held his hand. "That's why we have to find a way to move past this," I continued. "I don't know if I can, but I'll try," he whispered. The days that followed were a blur. When we were around each other, we would try to have normal conversations, but overall, Isaac tried to keep his distance from me. He would often stay in his room or spend time out of the house. I kept reminding myself it was for the best and that it would help him sort out his feelings, but I really missed him. Ever since he confessed, we slept in the same bed, but even then, I noticed that there was still a bit of a distance between us. One evening, as I was preparing dinner, Isaac came into the kitchen. "There's something I want to talk to you about," he started. "Okay, go ahead," I replied. "I've realized that I'd rather have you in my life as only my mom than nothing at all." "I don't want to lose you," he said. I was so glad to hear this, and relief washed over me. "You don't have to worry about losing me," I said. "It's just really hard," he replied. I stepped closer to him and gave him a hug. "It'll take time, but you'll get through this. I'll help you however I can," I reassured him. The tension between us eased and he thanked me. For the first time in days, I felt like things were finally going to be okay. Isaac began joining me for meals again, and we spent a lot of time together like we used to. One evening, he was in the living room sitting on the couch staring at the TV. I came in and joined him. I asked him if he was okay, and he shrugged his shoulders. Then he replied, "Yeah, just thinking." "About what?" I inquired. "I'm always thinking about us," he admitted. When he said that, I got a knot in my stomach. "Isaac, I thought we moved past this," I exclaimed. "I'm trying, but it's not that simple," he said. "We have to keep working on this for both of our sakes," I said. "But have you ever thought about what it would be like if the both of us were together?" he asked. His question completely caught me off guard. "Don't lie to me," he said firmly. Even though I had thought about it, I wasn't sure if I should admit that to him. "It doesn't matter whether I thought about it or not. All that matters is doing the right thing," I said to him. The expression on his face changed to sadness, and he got up off the couch. "I'm going out," he said. "Where are you going?" I asked. "To take a walk," he replied, and then he went out the door. I was afraid to tell him that for the last couple of days, something had changed. I had come to the realization that I had felt something too, this entire time. The hours that he was gone went by so slowly. I sat by the window and kept watching for when he would return. I heard the door open right before midnight, and I breathed a sigh of relief. I rushed to the door and my voice trembled while asking him where he had been. "Walking," he said with his head hanging down. "You can't just disappear like that." I scolded. He sighed and told me he needed time away to clear his head. "We can't get going on like this. It's tearing us apart," I said. "Maybe we need to seek professional help." I continued, but he refused. "No one can help us, and no one can change how I feel," he said. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't because deep down, I knew he was right. It was even worse that I still hadn't told him that I felt something too. I had been lying to him because I was trying to avoid my feelings for him. I just wasn't ready to tell him yet. The next few days were filled with avoidance and awkward conversations. Isaac tried to act normal, but the tension between us was very noticeable. I knew something was about to happen. One evening, we were cleaning up after dinner, and I noticed that Isaac had been very quiet all day. Then, he finally broke the silence. "Mom, I just can't do this. I can't pretend these feelings don't exist." I thought about the recent nights we had spent together. He had been touching me more than usual, and I had been doing the same to him. That's why he had started this conversation. "I have a confession to make," I said calmly. "I think you've noticed what's been going on the past few nights." "The touches?" he asked. "I assumed that they were just to relax me and make me feel good," he continued. "No," I replied. "They were because I realized I have the same feelings as you. I was just afraid to admit it," I said quietly as I looked down. He put his hand on my chin, causing me to look up. Then we began to kiss intensely. After that, we went and got ready for bed. I smiled at him while I put on my pajamas and he was brushing his teeth. I got into bed and he joined me a few minutes later. I turned off the lamp and said goodnight to him. He said goodnight back and we both got comfortable. I pulled him closer to me and we began kissing again. Then, we ended up doing more than kissing. I let myself go in the moment, and I had never felt more alive. Right then, I had forgotten everything that was worrying me over the past few weeks. It was nice to finally not feel confused anymore. When we were done, Isaac looked at me and smiled. The next few weeks went a lot better. The house was more peaceful, and eventually, Harry returned home from his business trip. I decided not to tell him what had occurred while he was gone. Isaac began hanging out with friends more and started back with hobbies he hadn't done in a while. I got back into my usual routine of running errands and doing the small tasks I've always been used to doing. Isaac and I never talked about what had happened, and I tried my best to keep myself busy and not think about it anymore.